Okay, so today we're going to look at how to solve for an absolute value equation. Let's write that down so that we know. So we got that written down, and what I want to do is highlight what we'll be doing so that we can keep our eyes on the prize and stay focused on the task. So let's highlight what we're doing here. We're solving an absolute value equation, right? And so let's say that we have the equation 2 times the absolute value of x plus 2 plus 5 equaling 13. We've studied on how to solve equations and how to simplify. In this case, since we'll be solving, we'll be using the SADMAP process. First, I'll be looking for either of these. That's the first thing I'm looking for. Then I'll be looking at this part. That's the second looking for. Then there'll be a third if I'm looking for an exponent and parentheses, if you guys can see that. The first thing I do, since I'm looking for addition or subtraction right here, I'm going to refer back over here to the absolute value function and say, do I see addition or subtraction happening? Now, I know I see it happening inside the absolute value, but I can't go in there yet because I have to attack what's happening outside of the bars. So in this case, this plus 5 is being added. What I can do is, since I see addition, I will subtract 5 from both sides. You guys probably already know that already, so bear with me. In this case, the 5 cancels out over here. I am left with 2 times the absolute value of x plus 2 equaling 13 minus 5 gives me 8. Check my math, right? And so here we are. Now I'm going back to the SADMAP process right here, and I know that I've done addition and subtraction, so I'm going to look over here at the second, and I'm going to look for either division or multiplication happening somewhere. And wherever I see it happening, I'm going to do its opposite, right? And so as we go back over here to the equation, 2 times the absolute value of x plus 2 equals 8. I can see that 2 is the multiplier to the absolute value. So since I see, or that I know that multiplication is happening right here, what I would do is divide both sides by that 2. Remember that we're trying to get x isolated, right? And so 2 divided by this 2 just goes to 1. So we can act like that this is x plus 2 over 1, which is still the absolute value of x plus 2. So in this case, what's left over here is the absolute value of x plus 2 equaling 8 divided by 2 is 4. I'll zoom out so you can see all the steps. Remember, this is a SADMAP process. Now, since I am dealing with the absolute value, the thing that we've learned in a couple of classes now is that when I have an absolute value, that whether it be a negative number in there or a positive number, it will still give me a positive result. The absolute value of any number is positive. And so in this case, I will set x plus 2 equal to 4 and x plus 2 equal to negative 4. That will give me the 2 answers that I can put in for the x that should produce me the answer of 4. So let's go ahead and finish solving. I know that since I see addition, because I'll be starting the SADMAP process over again, so I'm back here now, right? And so coming down here, I see addition happening right here. So my thing is, since I see addition, and your thing is, since you see addition, we will be subtracting 2 to both sides. And we'll do it over here as well. Now see that these 2's cancel out. 2 minus 2 is 0, so we don't have to write that. And what's left over is x is going to equal something. Well, x is going to equal that 4 minus 2, which gives us 2. And as we do it over here, these 2's cancel out. And we know that x is going to equal something. Well, negative 4 plus a negative 2 means that I'm going more negative, right? I'm adding a negative to a negative already existing. So I'm at negative 4. And if I go 2 more spaces negative, I end up at negative 6. So these would be the answers to the absolute value where it will equal 4. If I plug that back in, would that be true? Okay, so we're recapping. I took the liberty of rewriting this a little bit more neater so we can follow it. Um, Again, this is for solving an absolute value. One thing I wanted to note is that remember when you're solving, you use the SADMET process. And down here, the SA, of course, we all know is either subtraction or addition. The D and DM is either division or multiplication. Then we look for E, which is an exponent or a power, which would be the number up in the air. And then the P stands for parentheses if we experience any of those. That's the order that we will use to solve this equation. So let's get started. And we know that earlier we walked through the equation 2 being multiplied to the absolute value of x plus 2 plus 5 equaling 13. This right here is the SA step right here. Since you've seen addition, the addition of 5, we did the opposite and we subtracted 5 to both sides. So that was the SA. That's the first thing we're looking for. We got the result of that was 2 times or multiplied to the absolute value of x plus 2 equaling 8. And if you follow step 2 of the DM down to that step right there, that's the division and multiplication step of SADMET right there. Since we see 2 being multiplied outside the absolute value of x plus 2, since we see and notice multiplication, we would divide both sides by that number that's being multiplied. And so we divide both sides by 2. That leaves us with the absolute value of x plus 2 equaling 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now this absolute value right here, this is the part where this is going to give you 2 answers. And I highlighted that in pink so that you would see that as we go forward. So what we do to get our 2 answers out of that is we will set x plus 2 equal to both 4 and negative 4 as shown below. Now, when we set it equal to 4 and negative 4, we notice that there's no exponents and no parentheses, so we start the SADMET process all over again. And I want to make sure that I mention that. So we subtract and add. That's the first thing we're looking for. Since we see 2 being added, we subtract 2 from both sides. That leaves us with x equaling 2 and x equaling negative 6. Now we had those answers, and I said the next video we would check that, so that's exactly what we're going to do. In the first check, we look here, and as you see right here, I'm using this value, let me get the camera right, of 2, and I'm going to put that 2 into the equation. So it started out with x plus 2, and that's shown up here above. Right here, we're using this right here. We're going to use that to check. And so on the x plus 2 equaling 4, what we did is we took the answer 2 and we put it into our equation. With that, that gave us the absolute value of 2 plus 2 equaling 4. And we're going to keep checking to see if this is true. Well, what we found out is that the absolute value of 4 equals 4. And yes, because the absolute value of 4 is a positive 4, and that does equal 4. So that's a check. So we found out that x equaling 2 does work for that equation. But we have another answer. We have the x equals negative 6 answer, and we want to check that too. So in the same process, using still the same absolute value of x plus 2, we were going to check that and see that if we insert the negative 6 in place of x, we have the absolute value of negative 6 plus 2 equaling 4. Well, we want to know if that's true, so we do the math. Negative 6 plus 2 gives us a negative 4, so we have the absolute value of negative 4 equaling 4. Well, is this true? Well, we've discussed in class and find out that the absolute value of a negative number and a positive number will give you a positive result. So the absolute value of negative 4 is 4, and we found out that that is true because 4 equals 4. And that's our check for our answers of x equaling 2 and x equaling negative 6 through the SADMET process of what we've done.